What is up, my peepholes? This is your guy, Cly, and welcome back to Budget Buys. Now, today I have something a little bit different for you in that it is not a piece of Bluetooth tech, but at the same time, it does come from Five Below, so it is related to some of the reviews I've done recently. And that item is the LED light strip from Vibe Essential with USB power and a color changing remote. I honestly did not expect to come across this at Five Below, despite the fact that they do have something similar in the form of a light bulb. But I'm glad I did because I've been getting a few emails from kind of sketchy Amazon sellers about reviewing something just like this, and I'm glad I can review it without having to give a positive review in exchange for the product to actually make a video about. However, I don't know if this was actually made for Five Below. I think this might be an overstock item, but it was repackaged slightly because on the SKU, it does have FB, and I've noticed that does pop up on items kind of made for Five Below, so hopefully this means that they're going to be getting some similar products in the future. Kind of like one of their Bluetooth speakers that I bought to review but didn't review, and they've been getting more of those with slight alterations recently, and I'm hoping something like that happens with these. Enough rambling, let me go ahead and show you what's inside the box. So inside the box, you've got everything in this nice little bag, though the bag is actually the red flag when it comes to whether or not this was packaged for Five Below, because it's a hanger bag, and that's how pretty much all of the tech I order on AliExpress arrives. Anyway, inside the bag, what you get is an only so-so manual when it comes to usefulness, the aforementioned color controlling remote, a USB power lead, and 1 meter of weather-resistant, self-adhesive, color-changing LED goodness. This is a 16 LED per meter strip. More on the importance of that later. But for now, let's show you how to hook this up, because this is where the manual flops. All it mentions on setup is cutting your strip to length, because it is actually designed to do that. More on that later. Making sure you press it completely down so that all of the adhesive engages, and then plugging in the USB lead. Though it doesn't tell you which direction to place the lead, and they made the lovely decision to design it so that you can have it facing forward or backward. Now, due to the fact that USB is actually DC current instead of AC, reversing your polarity could mean bad things. I may or may not have fried a couple of things in the past because of that. But fortunately, I did not have to see if this could survive being plugged in incorrectly. If you'll notice, on this label here, there is a plus and a minus to either side of your infrared receiver. And fortunately, I was correct in assuming that meant the polarity of these pins here. So, you'll notice a plus and a G on these pins. The plus is, of course, positive, just like here. The G is your negative, like the little minus sign there. So, plug it in like that, and you are good to go. Of course, that arrow may also mean something in the circuit manufacturing world. I haven't messed with circuit diagrams in ages, so I can't remember. So if somebody immediately figured that out, good on you. Otherwise, this is how you've had it set up. Go ahead and bring in my USB power supply and show you just how bright this little guy is. Plug it in like so, turn on the power supply. Nice and bright. I've got my studio lights on here, and it's still hard to look directly at this. Now on the box, it mentions you have a choice between one of 15 colors, but I'm going to say they were wrong because you actually have 16 colors if you include white. And I'm going to include white. So what you have are your primary light colors in red, green, blue, and then all of them on at once for white. And then each of these buttons is actually just a transitional color between the primary color of the row or column. Yes, the primary color of the column and the primary color of the next column. So red and then steps on through green. It's not an exact match for what's on the button, but that's just a minor gripe for me. Anyway, it also mentions that you have 4 additional light modes, though from what I can tell it's only 3. Originally I thought it was only 2, but in making this video and one of my outtakes, I actually figured out you do have a 3rd. So first, what you have is flash. All this does is light up one of the 3 primary colors and then transitions onward to the next one. Beyond that, you have smooth, which is a mode similar to flash, can't speak, but it includes some of the secondary colors in it as well. These middle 2 buttons seem to do the same thing, and that is my favorite lighting effect, a smooth transition between all of the different colors. This is what I would have it set to when I use whatever this is going to be going into. Because honestly, I can't figure out what I want to use this for. Do I want to hook it up to the back of my monitor? Do I want to use it in the light box that I talked about previously? Do I want to tuck this behind a piece of chainmail and use a USB power supply on it for cosplay purposes? I don't know yet. And like I said, strobe and fade just seem to do the same thing. Now let's talk price. This was $5. That's $5 for 1 meter, 16 LEDs. I went on Amazon and it turns out that's a really good price for the weather resistant stuff. If you go for the non-weather resistant, you're looking at about $4.50 for the 16 LED strip. If you go for the 30 LED strip, you're going to be paying twice as much. So keep that in mind. And on AliExpress, it's just about $3.50 for a meter of the weather resistant 16 LED stuff. If you go for 2 meters and beyond on AliExpress, you get a much better deal because I found some that started at $3.50 and then $6 and so on and so forth, decreasing as you increase the amount of strip you got. Whereas Amazon, it actually held firm to about $5 per meter of the weather resistant 16 LED stuff. And same goes for the more expensive 30 LED stuff. So all in all, it's actually a really good price at $5 below, especially if you don't need a ton of it. Now I mentioned before that you can cut this to length, and that goes into effect right here. You'll see these little copper strips. That's actually where you're meant to cut it. And if you want to rejoin it, either as if nothing happened, or more likely with what I'm going to do, I'm going to slice it in half and then run some extension wires, and just make sure you solder the extension wires to the appropriate pads to bridge the gaps. And I can have 1 strip at the top of my monitor, 1 strip at the bottom of my monitor, assuming I'm going to be doing the monitor thing, or 1 strip to the left and right. Either way, I have a really nice lighting effect going on behind my monitor for $5. So yeah, if you couldn't tell with how enthusiastic I am about using this for different projects, $5 is a steal for this stuff because I didn't have to wait for it to come in and I can just return it if it didn't work or I don't like it. So $5 plus tax for that level of convenience, I will pay it because it's only $1.50 more or maybe 40% more to not have to wait up to 2 months to receive this from AliExpress. So yeah, plus I didn't have to give a shady supplier a positive review just to get one to show you. All in all, it gets my seal of approval. I am so glad I could say that because I haven't done a positive $5 below review in a while. Anyway, until next time, this is your guy, Cly, signing off.